Yeah. Yeah. आओ मैं बताऊं तुम्हें राज की बात, तुम्हारे हाथ एक खजाना लगे रातों रात। कहानी नहीं लड़के अब तो ये हकीकत बन गई है, पढ़ना लिखना अब आसान, दुनिया आगे बढ़ रही है। तो इंतजार कैसा, अपना मकसद तुझे याद, दुनिया का हर एक जवाब जैसे रखा तेरे हाथ पर। बदलो अब अंदाज थोड़ा, बदलो ये पुरानी रीत, आगे दुनिया से रहना है, पक्की है तुम्हारी जीत। मकसद है तुम्हारा के कुछ बन के ही दिखाना है, मकसद है हमारा सारी दुनिया को सिखाना है। अब रहा ना दौर वो, अब नया दौर आना है, दुनिया को बता दो अब ये मकसद का जमाना है।
दौर है तुम्हारा, मकसद है तुम्हारा, उठे कलम लिखे वक्त जैसे सब है तुम्हारा। एक वक्त एक आवाज देखे सब खोले राज, बदलेगा इतिहास, नया दौर नई साज। कोई भी सवाल हो जवाब मेरे पास, कामयाबी की खुली हुई किताब मेरे पास। चाहे कोई भी हो मसला, कोई भी हो बात, रखा एक एक चीज का हिसाब मेरे पास। खान on the beat, hey.
Hi, dear students. How are you? Hoping you would all be fit and fine. My name is Zafar Sahab, and I'm your English instructor here. Guess what we are going to study today? Hmm, I guess it would be a tough ask for you. Let me tell you. We are going to study conditional sentences. Conditional sentences are very much part of your test prep. They involve in verb tenses, common error, voices, sentence structure, reading comprehension, clause passage, and of course, interview. That is followed by your written test. And anything can be asked in interview. You may be asked, what if you were the head of the state? You may be asked, what if you were dean of this institute? And you may be asked what you will do after you pass out from this institute. So anything can be asked in interview because there is no hard and fast rule in interview. So whatever you are questioned, you got to reply accordingly. Here, we are going to visit conditional sentences first. Now, IBA LUMS entry test prep, your dream institute. Once you make an entry in your dream institute, there's going to be no looking back. Things will look up. So now your visit of conditional sentences begins. Conditional sentences are kind of sentences in which a part of conditional sentence depends on other. Here you can look at the definition. It's somehow a definition. Conditional sentences are the sentences in which one part of the sentence is dependent on the other. That's what I've told you. Let's learn further through examples. If the party takes place, he will enjoy his heart out. This sentence has two parts. First part is if the party takes place, that is conditional clause. And conditional clause requires yet another clause to be supported with in order to make sense. This is why we call this dependent clause. And the other clause is main clause. You see here, he will enjoy his heart out. This is main clause and we call this independent clause. Independent clause does not require support of any clause because it generates its meaning itself. If I ask you, if the party takes place, what do you understand? You will not understand because it doesn't complete. It doesn't make sense unless I place yet another clause. But if I practice, he will enjoy his heart out. This clause generates its own meaning. This is why it is called main clause and result comes in main clause. And we call this independent clause. Let me make you understand about the difference between dependent and independent with one of the very real example, mother and child. If mother is separated from her child, mother will still survive, but child won't. So mother is independent and child is dependent. So I hope that you would have better understood here with this real example. Let me tell you one more thing about this. Here we have used conditional clause first if the party takes place, and main clause comes after this. Main clause may be placed in the beginning and conditional clause may go at the place of main clause. It will make no difference at all, especially when it comes to speaking. But if it comes to writing, so there is a subtle difference. You see a comma here, comma, yes. So when we place conditional clause in the beginning, we need to mention comma in between two clauses in order to separate them. But when we place here, as you can see the example, main clause in the beginning, so we do not need to place comma because if conjunction is enough to bridge the gap between these two clauses. So I hope you would have understood that whether we place conditional clause in the beginning or main clause in the beginning, it will make no difference. But when it comes to writing, you must keep comma in your mind. Let's move on to the next slide. The second example is, unless snow falls, weather will not turn pleasant. Do you know something about unless? It's a bit tricky because negation lies in unless. It is not visible. Unless snow falls is conditional clause followed by main clause. Weather will not turn pleasant and result comes in main clause. And here there is yet another sentence which replaces the sentence which starts with unless. If snow does not fall, weather will not turn pleasant. Here, unless is equivalent to if and not. If and not equates unless. But when we use if, we have to mention not here. But when we use unless, we must avoid not because double negation may disturb the meaning of the sentence. I'll throw light onto it, in next slides. So let's get down to number 3. In case we have done number 2 and now we are on number 3. In case it rains, I will use orange umbrella. In case is used when there is either precaution or preparation. If you look at the sentence, in case it rains, I'll use orange umbrella. Isn't it preparation? Yes, it is. So now it is proven that in case is used for preparation and if is used for condition. This is basically the difference between if and in case. Let's land on to number 4. When he hits a 6, the crowd will applaud him. When and if, apparently no different. But when you research, when you get to the bottom of it, you find a subtle difference between when and if. as I just told you, that if is used for condition and when is used for expectation. But even if you replace when by if, it makes no difference. You are going to get maximum marks because the difference is negligible. Let's get down to number 5. You may borrow the car provided that you return it by 6. Here we have used provided that as conjunction. Provided that is used either for legal context or requirement to be fulfilled. If you read this sentence, let's read it again. You may borrow the car provided that you return it by 6 p.m. It means car is to be returned before 6 o'clock. This is requirement to be met. So provided that fits like a glove here. Here, number 6. Whenever he tenders his resignation, his boss will accept it. So whenever, whenever is used when things are ready. So his boss is ready. Whenever he submits his resignation, his boss will accept it at the same time because his boss is ready to accept his resignation, whatever reason be. So these are the basics. I hope that you have generated few more ideas about conditional sentences. Here, there are all conditional sentences which we are going to study here in this slide just in one go. Zero conditional type. Zero conditional type is also called real or scientific. You see, real and scientific, they never change. It always holds true. Number 2, first conditional type, that is considered to be possible. Number 3, second conditional type, unreal or contrary to the fact. You are going to discover so many new things in today's lecture when I'm going to come down to tell you something about conditional type 2. And let me tell you one more thing about conditional type 2. Conditional type 2 is a kind of a conditional sentence that is used more than the rest of the sentences. And there is one more entertaining aspect of it. If you go to YouTube and write the songs of conditional sentences, you are going to find several songs of conditional sentences, and they may touch to your heartbeat and you will certainly like it, I bet you. So we'll be discussing this. I hope that you must be excited to know something more about second conditional type. Now let's move on to number 4, third conditional type. They are impossible or unfulfilled. They are never fact. So is the case with second conditional. Second conditional types also considered to be contrary to the fact, and we are going to discuss both of them separately. Now there comes mixed conditionals. When it comes to mixed conditional sentences, we tend to forget conditional type 0 and conditional type 1. They have nothing to do with mixed conditionals. There is a game of second conditional and of course third conditional. When you practice tenses, you practice adjective sentences, negative sentences, interrogative sentences, and of course question sentences. But you must practice one more sentence type. Can you guess? But things may not occur to your mind at the moment. Few of you perhaps get reminded with, yes, negative, interrogative. We mix both of them, and few of the students think that this is new types. This is not new type. We mix them up. So here mixed conditionals, not new. We mix second conditional with third conditional. Let's move on to the next slide. Here we are going to learn about zero conditional type. They are considered to be either real or scientific. It makes no difference whether you call this real and scientific, because when something becomes scientific, it becomes theory, and theory is always correct or true. It never changes. or it always happens, or it always holds true. Let's go to the formation. Here you see two part of the sentences and comma separates them. Ifs plus simple present tense. Here in conditional clause, we practice simple present tense and we also practice simple present tense in main clause. This is basically the reason that we call this zero conditional, because it strikes balance. On either side, we have simple present tense. So I hope that you would have understood why we call this zero conditional type. Let's go to the example. Example is something, which makes us understand better than definition. If we put plastic on fire, it melts. It always melts. This is scientific reason. It melted in the past, it melts now, and it will melt in future as well. So this is a theory. If we put plastic on fire, it melts, as you can see in the pictures as well. Let's move on to the next slide. There are few more examples of zero conditional type. If we look at the sun, our eyes dazzle. Do you understand what dazzle mean? I guess few of you understand and few of you perhaps not. Let me tell you what it means so that you may better understand this. Dazzle means to be blind temporarily. When we look at the sun, we turn blind for a short period and our eyesight, is restored after a brief period. And you must have experienced this. And this is a fact. Now, next example is when wind blows, plants dance. Look at the picture. Let me ask you something. What does this particular sentence remind you? It must remind you something special, a beautiful poem written by William Wordsworth. Few of you studied this in grade 9, and few of you must have studied this even before this. Yes, doesn't something click or connect to your mind? Yes, daffodils. A host of golden daffodils near the lake and beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Wonderful poem. If you feel that poem, I bet you are not going to forget it. This is quite inspiratory. So, whenever wind blows, plants move or dance. Now, there is yet another example. If I get stressed, my mind doesn't work at all. It does happen to me. Whenever I'm under stress, the window of wisdom shuts and my mind doesn't work at all. So it always happens to me. So perhaps it may happen to you, perhaps it may not happen to you, but this is an example of zero conditional type. And you can look at the picture, information overload. You see? So now it is proven that zero conditional sentences are always true as things that never really change. They always hold true. This is all about zero conditional type. Now let's land on to the slide of conditional type 1. They are possible. We use first conditional for a possible future action and its possible future result. Yes. Conditional type 1 are possible. Formation is simple present is used in conditional clause. And we use either will, can, could, may, might, or going to in main clause. Will is common, whereas can, could, may, might, going to are possible. We are going to put all of the modal verbs into practice so that you may better understand this. Result comes in main clause, and you must be remembering what I told you initially, primarily, that result comes in main clause. Do not forget this. Conditional is fixed in conditional clause and result comes in main clause, that is independent clause. So let's practice all these modal verbs one after another. Here, there is an example. Look at the picture. A man is running after a bus to get onto it. This is cause and effect relationship. Speaker says, if he runs faster, he will get on the bus. Yes, here speaker is pretty sure that the man is going to get on the bus. Will is more formal and of course slightly more neutral as well. And you must be using this. Number 2, if he runs faster, he can get on the bus. Can is used for ability to do something. Here speaker reckons that the man has ability to catch the bus. Right? Number 3, if he runs faster, he could get on the bus. This is a bit hypothetical. It gives lesser possibility that the man is going to get onto the bus. He is a bit unsure. Now see what next says. If he runs faster, he may get on the bus. May shows possibility. Here, the speaker thinks that the man perhaps succeeds or perhaps unsucceeds to catch the bus. But when it comes to might, here, you see, now speaker says if he runs faster, he might get on the bus. Might shows lesser possibility than may. So here, speaker is not sure that the man is going to get onto the bus. Lower degree of possibility, as you can see here in parenthesis. Now, let's get down what lies in at the bottom. If he runs faster, he is going to get on the bus. On many occasions, we may use either will or going to. It makes no difference at all. But when we get to the bottom of something, we find a subtle difference between these two. Going to is used for near future action. Let me give you a practical example. When cricket match starts, two captains are ready in the ground to spin the coin. Before spin the coin, commentator says the toss is going to take place. Why? Because this is decided action, near future action. So when there is near future action, we place going to, and that is better than will. I hope that you would have understood all modal verbs which we practice in first conditional: will, can, could, may, might, and of course going to. Here comes yet another slide. Unless and if. Don't you remember? I told you that we are going to discuss something about unless in detail as our lecture goes on. So now the time comes and the slide comes as well. Unless is equivalent to if not. You can see this arrow. So arrow shows that either we use unless or if not. But when we use if, we got to mention not. And not is already in unless. This is why many test takers commit wrong. They add yet another not, and when two nots or double negation, that makes one positive. Let me give you an example. So if I say not untrue, this is double negative. Not and untrue, both of them are crossed. What comes out? Positive, true. So if you place double negative, that means positive. Let me give you another example for your better understanding. Not unclear. Unclear is negative, not is also negative. Both of them crossed up. What comes out? Clear. So double negative makes positive. So you are not going to make this mistake. If you commit such wrong, you are going to be penalized. So let's go to the examples. There are two sentences, both of them stand at the same place as far as their meanings are concerned. First, you see, if you do not put yourself in hard practice, you will not be triumphant. And its equivalent is, unless you put yourself in hard practice, you will not be triumphant. You know the difference? Yes, message goes the same. There is a difference that here not is visible, and in unless not is invisible. So this not goes into unless, which goes invisible. When something is invisible, we think that it is not existed, and we place this. Once we place this, that would be double negative, as you could see here about the example of not untrue and not unclear. So you must avoid this. If you still find it difficult, practice. Practice is mother of skills. If you are bad at anything, you must put yourself into practice and you will build your skills. So now the result is what the result and what the message rather. No practice, no triumph. Both of them generate the same meanings. Now there comes comparison between zero conditional and of course conditional type 1. Zero conditional. If time permits, I work out. It always holds true. It never changes. It always happens. Generally always true. And first conditional is more specific. If somebody asks you, what are you going to do on upcoming Sunday? Your answer is, if time permits, I'll work out. This is more specific. It is only for upcoming Sunday. You do not know what you are going to do on Sunday after the upcoming Sunday. So first conditional is more specific and zero conditional always holds true. This is basically the difference, and knowing the difference between zero conditional and conditional type 1 is pretty necessary. That is going to save your skin, especially at the time of test or examination. Here, conditional type 2. You must be remembering what I told you about conditional type 2. This is a kind of a conditional sentence which is used more than the rest of the conditional sentences. And this is unreal. Let me open up Pandora box. Let me surprise you. You must have been studying that there are only 3 tenses. Namely, present, past, and of course future. But there is one more tense. Today you are going to discover this. That is unreal past. Yes, it's contrary to the fact, it's not fact, but it exists somewhere in your mind, in your heart. And if you look at this picture, planet, don't we dream we are on Mars sometimes? Don't we dream that we are in Wonderland? Aren't we in a fantasy? Don't we build hopes? Don't we build castle in the air? They are not true, but they exist somewhere. When something exists, its name. So unreal past is for tense. We do not normally teach this to primary level students or secondary level students because they are not that matured. They may not understand this and they rather get confused. So your level is competitive level. You are matured. You are going to be undergraduate soon. You are preparing yourself for big universities. So you must know the ins and outs of everything. So conditional type 2 is called imaginary, unreal, hypothetical, and of course, contrary to the fact, it has many meaning. And it is advisable to you to go to the YouTube when time permits you and write songs of conditional type 2 and you are going to enjoy with that. So let's go down to the formation. If you understand the formation of first conditional, you are not going to find it difficult to understand the formation of second conditional and of course third conditional. Let me make things easy for you. What you need is just to memorize the formation of first conditional. Second conditional is past of first conditional and third conditional is past of second conditional. Now things done. You do not need to stress on your mind. Do not wreck your mind. Make things easy for you to digest or grasp. Now let's get down to the formation, and it's going to tell you that formation of second conditional is the past of first conditional. In first conditional sentence, we mention simple present tense and conditional clause. Here we place simple past tense. You see, simple past tense is past form of simple present. And when we come down to main clause, here you see would. Would is past form of will. Could is past form of can, and might is also possible. So let's practice according to this formation. First example, if I were a bird, I would fly in the air. Here one thing must confuse you if you do not know. Were. Yes. Here we normally use was with I. But here life becomes easy. You do not need to switch from was to were, from was to were, from was to were, and you are going to use only were with all the clauses. Why? There is a particular reason at the back of it. Even if you use was, that is also understandable. But was is normally practiced in spoken English, but when it comes to written English, you must practice were, because were has more imaginary flavor in comparison with was. So it is advisable to you to use were all the time in conditional sentences upon requirement. So let's go to the meaning of it. If I were a bird, I would fly in the air. Neither I am bird nor I fly. This is contrary to the fact. It's proven. You can see in the picture bird flies, but we do not. Now let's hit the second example. If I hit the jackpot, I would purchase a new model car. Neither I had jackpot nor I have new model car. This is also proven to be contrary to the fact of or unreal past. This is imaginary. Impossible results, as you can see on your screen at the bottom. Impossible results. Now let's land on to conditional type 2 with more examples. Here we are focusing on could and of course might. At your right, you see two balloons with different sizes. They show possibility. Let's go down to read first sentence. The soldier could not succumb to the injury if he were cured well. There is higher degree of certainty. Here speaker is sure that soldier would be survived if he were cured well. So there is high level of certainty here. But when we come down to this second sentence, the soldier might not succumb to the injury if he were cured well. There is less amount of certainty. When we use might, there comes possibility with that. So here speaker is not that sure that soldier would be survived even if he were cured well. There is a bit of doubt in the second sentence, but in first sentence with could, there is more certainty, there is more surety, as you could see the balloon's size, and here the balloon which is on top that has a bigger size, and the balloon which is at the bottom that has a smaller size. So less possibility here with might. So I hope you understand the exact difference between could and might when we put them in conditional type 2. Conditional type 3, impossible or unfulfilled. They are never fact. Action occurred in the past and result would come in the past as well. Now recall what I have told you in the beginning of second conditional. I told you that the first conditional, if you know the formation of first conditional, you are not going to find it difficult to learn the formation of second conditional, because second conditional is past of first conditional. Similarly, third conditional is past of second conditional. Here you see in conditional clause, past perfect tense is used. Past perfect tense is past of simple past. You must have read in verb tenses. And in main clause, we practice commonly would plus have as sub-helping verb or auxiliary, followed by past participle form. And to make things easy for you, I have written V3 in parentheses. V3 denotes third form of the verb, V3. Similarly, the formation with could and of course might. We are going to practice all these modal verbs separately, in next slide, so that you would better understand about conditional type 3. Let's land on to conditional type 3. Here, there are 3 different examples, and I have shown the possibility through different sized balloon. The first sentence is, if Quaid-e-Azam had been alive for few years more, our country would have progressed well. More likely, there is more surety. Here, a speaker is sure that if Quaid-e-Azam lived for few years more in the past, we would have progressed in the past. There is no question about it. But when it comes to second sentence, if Quaid-e-Azam had been alive for few years more, our country could have progressed well. Here, could. Could shows lesser possibility than would. Here, speaker is not as sure as he is with would. Likely that the country would have progressed well. Country would progress well in the past, or country would not progress well in the past. There is a bit of doubt or possibility with could. So here we have discussed would, could, and now let's come down to might. If Quaid-e-Azam had been alive for few years more, our country might have progressed well. Might shows lesser possibility than could, less likely that the country would have progressed well. So could shows lesser possibility than would, and might shows lesser possibility than could. And if you examine the size of balloons, you are going to get to the conclusion. I hope that you would have understood this. If you have any question, you're welcome. Conditional type 3 not over yet. You might think that it's over. No, there is one more aspect to discuss. There are 2 different ways to practice conditional type 3. First is common standard conditional structure, and which we have been using, you see, in this screen, and we have practiced standard conditional structure. But there is one more structure named inverted conditional structure. Few test takers practice this and few do not. Few know this, few do not. But here you are going to understand how we use both of the methods. If I had known your plans earlier, I would have warned you. It means I did not know your plans in the past, so I didn't warn you. This is simple structure which we normally practice. There is yet another one named inverted conditional structure that starts with had. Had I known our plans earlier, I would have warned you. Few of the test takers might think that this is interrogative. They are not wrong. In interrogative sentences, we practice auxiliary verb in the beginning, and the same happens here, but there is no question mark in the end. When there is no question mark in the end, this is no way interrogative sentence. Here, had replaces if. If lies in had. Similarly, not lies in unless. What we learned in conditional type 1, right? If you come across such inverted conditional structure, had I known your plans earlier, I would have warned you. So do not get panicked. And it also means the same. So these are two different methods to practice conditional type 3. But let me tell you the difference between these two. Although there is no difference, you may use either of them. But inverted conditional structure is practiced in more formal and more literal communication. Whereas standard conditional structure is practiced commonly, but it's not that it won't be practiced, or it is not practiced in formal writing. It is written, it is used in formal writing as well, but inverted conditional structure is more formal and more literal. So you may come across both of them, and perhaps inverted conditional structure are highly likely to come in your test in order to test your understanding, especially about conditional type 3. But you are not going to get it wrong this time. Here, all conditional types at a glance in one slide. First, zero conditional. If we try, we fix the fault. Look at the picture. Picture is going to let you know what happens. If we try, we fix the fault. It always happens. It never changes. It always holds true. So whenever we try, we rectify the fault. This is scientific. This is real as well. First conditional. If we try, we will fix the fault. This is more specific, only for this particular event. If we try, we will fix the fault. That means we will rectify the fault if we try, only for this time. This is more specific. Second conditional. If we tried, we would fix the fault. Contrary to the fact, unreal past, not fact at all. Neither we tried nor rectified the fault. So this is hypothetical. Conditional type 3. If we had tried, we would have fixed the fault. Yes, impossible, unfulfilled. Neither we tried in the past and nor rectified in the past. So zero conditional is real. First conditional, gives result at present time. It's or future time as well at times. And this is more specific. Second conditional, hypothetical. Third conditional, unfulfilled. So you have restudied all conditional sentences in one go on one slide yet again. So that further strengthens the rules and regulations of conditional sentences in your mind. But conditional sentences not over yet. There is one more aspect to deal with. Mixed conditionals. Don't you remember in the beginning I told you in the slide when I introduced you all the conditional sentences that when we practice mixed conditional sentences, we keep conditional type 0 and conditional type 1 aside. The game is about second conditional and of course third conditional. We mix them, combination of second and third conditional. Here you can see, here we forget 0 and first conditional when we practiced mixed conditionals or conditional sentences, right? So zero conditional sentence and first conditional sentence have nothing to do with mixed conditionals. Now here, this is, you see, the formation of third conditional, and this is formation of second conditional, and we get both of them together in order to make sense. So let's go and see how they are used. The sentence is, if we had learned Arabic, we would speak it easily. We didn't study Arabic in the past. That has to do with third conditional. And we are bad at Arabic. We do not know how to speak Arabic. That comes in second conditional. I told you that second conditional results in present time. So here at present, we have nothing to do with Arabic because we did not learn it in the past. So we are not able to speak Arabic. Now, let's see, in reality, we didn't learn it. Yes. Here in reality, our Arabic is not good. So the action which we did not perform or carry out in the past, it wouldn't affect at present time. And the same goes here. Let's have yet another example. Here, the formation of third conditional, and here the formation of second conditional. The example is, if our team gelled together, we would be world champion. Sadly, but true. So, World Cup recently ended, Cricket World Cup rather. If our team gelled together, it means our team was not united. It did not play the World Cup with unity. So, we are not world champion. Action came in the past and result comes at present here. So this is basically the combination of third conditional and second conditional. In reality, let's go to reality. In reality, we didn't gel together during the World Cup. Yes, we didn't. Had we gelled together, there would be different result. But the result is, in reality, we aren't world champion. So that is how we practice mixed conditionals, keeping both conditional type 3 and conditional type 2 together. I hope that you would have improved your understanding about conditional type 1, 2, 3, 0, and of course mixed. But there is a small drill, and that will further strengthen your knowledge about conditional sentences. Choose the best suited option. Number 1, if he is appointed in government service, dash. This is first conditional. Is appointed. This is simple present tense of passive voice. Let's go to see the options and find out which best suits. Option A, he would have enough time to pursue his study. He would. Would is not practiced in first conditional, so we eliminate this. Option B, he will have enough time to pursue his study. Yes, we practice will in first conditional. It sounds logic and makes sense, but before I make it final, I'd like you to look at option C and D for your better understanding. And we are going to come back to option B if we do not find any option closer than this. Option C, he would have had enough time to pursue his study. This part is used in third conditional. So the answer has nothing to do with third conditional. Option D, he had enough time to pursue his study, and had, you see, simple past. Past form. Past form is used in second conditional. So second conditional is not needed Therefore, option D does not stand correct. Let's come back to option B. If he is appointed in government service, he will have enough time to pursue his study. That stands correct. Let's jump to number 2. If he had a bank account, dash. Option A, she will save lots of money. Number 2 is second conditional. You see, had, past form. So we need to look for would plus base form of the verb. Option A, she will save lots of money, does not stand right. Option B, she will have saved lots of money. This phrase is used in first conditional. So we do not require this to put in the blank. Option C, she would save lots of money. Yes, would plus base form of the verb. This is would and save is base form of the verb. This combination is fit for the blank, but I'd like you to look at option B as well before I make it final. Option D, she will be save. Here there is big grammatical mistake. So D is unqualified also. Here what we are left with, option C. Option C stands correct. If she had a bank account, she would save lots of money. Making a lot of sense. Let's jump to number 3. Had there been a sensible leader, dash. Option A, our country would have progressed well. Yes, option A sounds correct and it makes sense too. But before I make it final, I'd like you to look at option B, C, and D for your better understanding. Let's go down to option B. Our country will have progressed. No, will is erroneous here in this context. We eliminate this. Option C, our country had progressed well. There would be double past perfect. So we do not use double past perfect here. Option D, our country would have progressed well. Here there is grammatical mistake. There should be past participle instead of base form of the verb. So option D is also unqualified. So what is the best suited option here? Option A. Had there been a sensible leader, had there been a sensible leader, our country would have progressed well. So option A stands accurate. And you know what? Had comes in the beginning. This is not interrogative. I've just told you a short while back. And this is yet another method of using third conditional. I hope that you are going to keep this in your mind and don't forget it. Number 4, unless she gets paid, dash. Option A, she would not throw a party. The sentence is first conditional. In first conditional, we practice modal verb, first form of modal verb with base form of the verb. Here there is second form. She would not throw a party. So it does not stand right. Option B, she didn't throw a party. No, simple past is not used for conditional type 1. It does not stand correct as well. Option C, she do not throw a party. Here there is subject verb agreement issue. There should be does instead of do. So option C is not qualified. Let's go down to option D. She will not throw a party. Yes, it fits like a glove. Unless she gets paid, she will not throw a party. Option D is the correct option. Number 5. If the hotel in Paris had been full, dash. Option A, we would have stayed somewhere else. It makes sense, but we retain it here and go down to option B, C, and D to develop our understanding furthermore. Option B, we would have stay somewhere else. Here there is base form, We do not need base form here. Therefore, we cross it out. Option C, we would have staying somewhere else. There is grammatical error and glaring error here. So it does not stand correct. Let's land on to option D. We would be staying somewhere else. No, this is third conditional sentence, and option D does not fit at all in the blank. So what we are left with, we would have stayed somewhere else, making the right combination. Now, the final one. If dash out, who did it? He would kill him. Option A, find. This is second conditional. You know, word plus base form of the verb. And that indicates that this is second conditional. So we need to find out past form from the options. Option A, find. Find is base form, so we do not require it. Here we cross it up. Option B, founded. Founded means lay a foundation, so it never fits conceptually. We eliminate option B as well. Option C, found. Yes, second form of find is found. So found makes sense and it sounds logic. But we retain option C and go down to option D. What option D says? If he was found, passive voice. It does not fit for the blank. So what we are left with? Option C. Option C stands right, and that is the correct option. So I hope that you would have understood well, and you must be feeling enriched with conditional sentences. And we have a drill in our topical test under the umbrella of sentence structure. Go practice what you do not understand. We have our video solutions. Go through video solutions. Even if there is still much to be desired, Maqsad stands by you. The instructors of Maqsad, are not going to let you down, and they'll remain with you until the last ball is delivered. So here I hope that you would have well understood, and it's time to say bye-bye. This is me, Zafar Smile. Allah Hafiz.